Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here today. Welcome to Meditation for Misfits. Today's focus will be on journaling about the yamas. So that is why that card was up. Journaling about one of the 8 limbs of the Ashtanga yoga practice, which has 8 limbs, including one of them being the yamas. These are ways that we interact with the world around us. So, as always, do feel free to journal about whatever. If you want to just do a little bit of a stream of consciousness writing, if you want to write about what you're presently experiencing physically, mentally, emotionally, feel free to journal those things out. The prompts are simply suggestions for things that you might journal about if you have trouble coming up with what you want to journal about. Journaling, and I will have to make one of these cards as well on the benefits of journaling. But one of the benefits of journaling is focus. So when we put pen to paper, and I do encourage, if you can, to use pen, use your hands and intellect. Using our hands and intellect increases the number of neural pathways in the brain, increasing our cognitive function, increasing focus. And journaling specifically can help shift perspective. It can help calm our nervous system, manage stress, manage our emotions as we write through these things, rather than to writing through particularly things that may feel difficult to write about. The journaling prompts today are fairly general. Again, we're going to be going through the yamas, talking about how we have interacted with our world this week. So that may or may not be uncomfortable for you, depending on how your week has been. But journaling is one way that we can help kind of settle in ourselves what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, taking a moment to pause, taking a moment to reflect on our experiences, deepening not only our cognitive function just by the act of journaling, but deepening our capacity for self-awareness. So bringing, or rather developing further our self-awareness, understanding who we are through what we write. Another way that you can journal is drawing. If you prefer to draw out your experiences with pictures or symbols, feel free to get creative with your journaling experience. Each prompt will journal for about 3 to 4 minutes on each prompt. So depending on how much you have to say about that prompt, you can feel free. Again, you don't have to go through all the prompts. If you want to write more on one than the other, feel free to do that. You can also use this as sort of a way to spark a longer writing session for yourself after this guided experience. So do feel free to use this time, use this bit of silence while journaling to your benefit. With that said, I am going to go silent. You can certainly feel free to put music in the background for yourself. I am going to keep everything very silent and just have the prompt up on the screen as to what we are going to be journaling about. And again, feel free to journal out whatever you would like. So we're going to start with the first yama, which is ahimsa, meaning non-harming. Another way to look at that is kindness. Today, or in this first 3 to 4 minutes, we're going to be journaling about how we practiced kindness. How did you practice non-harming? How did you practice maybe even just a smile at someone? How did you practice kindness? And you can also journal about how you experienced kindness for yourself from something around you. Again, the yamas being ways that we interact with the world around us. So that first journaling prompt, ahimsa, how have you practiced kindness this week? How have you experienced kindness for yourself? And we'll begin now. Hello and welcome back. Our next prompt is Satya. Satya is the non-lying or telling the truth, honesty. So I invite you to journal about your experience of being, actually, let me double check on this. Yes. So I invite you to journal about your experience of being honest, of telling the truth, of standing up for truth in some way, your experience of receiving truth or receiving honesty from others. Now, with this, there may be some, as with many of these things, often, of course, with journaling about kindness, that can bring up a lot of positive feelings and emotions. Speaking about truthfulness and honesty, there can be many different emotions that arrive, and it can be at times uncomfortable. Maybe we experienced some uncomfortable truths or had to express some truths that made others uncomfortable. So, as you journal about this, journal about your whole body experience in that moment or moments of truth telling or truth receiving. So, here we will journal about our experience of telling or receiving truth. Welcome back. Our next prompt is asteya. Asteya is non-stealing. Now, this may seem pretty straightforward. Yes, of course. Hopefully, none of us have experienced stealing anything from anyone, but asteya is not only about non-stealing of material possessions, it's also about not stealing someone's time, someone's energy, someone's work. So I encourage us or invite us here to journal about our experience of non-stealing. Another way to look at this is thinking about our any envy that we have experienced. So even if we haven't necessarily stolen anything, even time or energy from others, sometimes we may feel envious of others. And one way to sort of diminish that feeling of envy or to invite a way of looking at our lives that is more, that helps us see what we have as opposed to what we lack. One way of, or one practice that we can do for that is is the practice of gratitude. So another thing that you might journal about is how you experienced or expressed gratitude this week. So if maybe you had an experience of feeling envious and then were able to flip that switch by practicing gratitude. Maybe you have a regular gratitude practice. Maybe here you just reflect on what you have to be grateful for. So here again, two ways of thinking about this, ways of possibly conceptualizing how you want to journal about your experience of non-stealing. Could be, how have you experienced not taking something from someone? Again, whether that's a material object, someone's effort, time, stolen someone's ideas, using them for yourself, or how you practiced or experienced gratitude. So an invitation to consider asteya, non-stealing, and the practice of gratitude. Welcome back. Again, feel free to continue to write on any of these or to move on to the next prompt. Maybe just jot a few words down to save for a longer journaling session later. Our next prompt is the Yama Brahmacharya. So historically, Brahmacharya was about abstinence, self-control in the context of abstinence. Today, we think about, certainly there are people who may practice that. Today, we think about Brahmacharya as self-control in a number of different areas, preserving our own energy so that we can offer energy in more focused and intentional ways throughout our week, throughout our day. So Brahmacharya, we think of as self-control. We might think of as discipline. How have we experienced or practiced discipline in some way? Maybe we have a very solid morning routine that we practice or evening routine. Maybe we're working on a big project that we have to be very focused and not allow any distractions so that we can focus on that project or some aspect of that project. Whatever it is that you have to be disciplined, focused, or have some self-control around, maybe a practice of, I know there is the Sober October. Some people are practicing limiting their alcohol intake. So maybe there's something that you're practicing incorporating more moderation. So however you want to, again, think about your experience of self-control, of discipline, of moderation, how you're practicing that, or how you have experienced that in some form or fashion throughout your week. So here we'll journal about our experience of Brahmacharya. Welcome back. Our last and final journaling prompt is a parigraha. A parigraha is non-possessiveness, non-hoarding. It might be, it's also non-attachment. There we go. That's the word that I'm looking for. Non-attachment. Another way to conceptualize a parigraha is generosity. How have we been generous with our time, our energy, our knowledge, our money? How have we experienced or expressed generosity? And we can also think about how others have been generous towards us. So again, the yamas are about our interaction, our interdependency with the world around us. So ways that we are behaving toward the world, but also ways that the world behaves, or people within the world behave toward us, or how we're experiencing the world around us. So again, here we're going to journal for a moment about how we have experienced a parigraha, or non-attachment, not holding on to anything, or you can think about that as, again, in the more positive way of generosity. How have we practiced generosity? How have we experienced generosity for ourselves? And we'll end with a little bit of mindfulness, but this will be our final journaling prompt. Welcome back. Here we will close with some gentle mindfulness. Just mindfully observing your experience of your body and breath. So mindfulness is an observation attaching no value judgment, no good or bad. We're simply noticing what is. So here I invite you to find a comfortable position for your body. Option to close your eyes or keep a soft, focused gaze forward or gently down. Mindfully observing your breath, noticing your capacity to breathe in, to breathe out. Observing tension or ease in the body. Noticing where you might be experiencing pain or discomfort. Noticing where you feel supported. And then coming back to your breathing, observing your inhale, your exhale. And here, bringing gentle movement to your body. A wiggle of the fingers, a wiggle of the toes. And softly opening your eyes if they're closed. Moving forward with a little bit greater insight, self-awareness, self-reflection into the rest of your day. Feel free, if you feel comfortable, to share your experience of this practice in the comments below, or continue to journal that out. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being you. Take care of yourselves out there. Peace.